When it comes to superheroes, one of our favorites is the web-slinging friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Peter Parker donned the Spidey suit and used his tingling Spidey-sense for years. That is, until Miles Morales came around and took the title. What makes Miles Morales so cool? Watch our video to find out. But before we begin, sling some webs toward the subscribe button to keep up to date on all the awesome CBR videos.
Huh? My name is Miles Morales, and I'm Spider-Man. We're not ghosts, right? Because if I'm dead, my mom and dad are gonna kill me.
The costume. The original Spider-Man costume is iconic. The red and blue tight suit covered with the web design is unique to Peter Parker. It's so iconic, in fact, that it hasn't really changed much since Steve Ditko first drew it back in 1962. The first suit included some underarm webbing, but with the exception of a few special edition Spideys removing the underarm webbing, tweaks to the eyes on the mask, and a glowing spider on the chest here, or a brief flirtation with a different color scheme there, nobody is looking to go all Project Runway on it. It's perfect. So why mess with a good thing? It doesn't need to be redone, which is also one of Peter's weaknesses. Is it not getting a tiny bit dull to still be wearing the same costume after almost half a century? Miles' uniform is a breath of fresh air. This is more than a simple palette swap of the original. It inverts the color scheme while adding some more contemporary design elements, such as the red piping redolent of sportswear or our favorite stylish sneakers. The darker aesthetic of the suit give him a stealthier look. This look works way better on a t-shirt too, if that can be admitted as evidence in the case.
Miles, you startled me. I'm still not used to you having these powers.
Sorry, Mom.
The Stealthier Approach. The famous early warning Spidey-sense is the ace-up Peter Parker's sleeve, although he rarely uses it to its full potential. He's always warned way ahead of time. He's warned that he's about to be bonked on the head while swinging idly around the Manhattan skyline, or he's caught completely unaware by the villains like Venom, who don't activate the Spider-sense in the first place. Now imagine if he were just a bit more proactive with it. What if he used it to scope out enemy strongholds for weaknesses or danger before going into a situation? That is exactly what Miles Morales does. Along with the Spidey-sense, he also has the ability to cloak himself. He goes temporarily invisible so he can take a more stealthy approach to fighting crime. We bet Peter Parker is super jealous of this ability. Wonder how Peter would use it.
He's gone? Whoa.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand. I mean, whoa.
A more compelling origin. One of the most iconic things about Spider-Man, aside from the costume, is his inception. How could we forget the famous line, "With great power comes great responsibility"? Peter's story is one of initially arrogant and self-serving teen who dedicates himself to fighting crime. This happens after his lack of intervention leads directly to the murder of his Uncle Ben. This iconic scene is almost Shakespearean in how well known it is. Similar to how Batman's motivation is fueled by the death of his parents, Peter's is fueled by his uncles. There just doesn't seem to be a great deal of complexity within that motivation. Miles' origin begins when he visits his criminal uncle to tell him about being awarded the final spot in a charter school. His uncle broke into abandoned Oscorp Industries and accidentally brought home a genetically enhanced spider. Miles was bitten at his uncle's apartment, and when he discovered his powers, wanted nothing to do with them. But when Spider-Man dies, Miles joins the cause. His early adventures as Spider-Man end up leading to the death of his actual mother, thus cementing his ambiguity about becoming a full-time vigilante. We think it's a richer base, which has begat far richer stories thus far.
Hey!
What was that move?
You talking about the Venom Blast? You can't do that?
His bite. Well, the times they are a-changin'. The traditional outside-the-law superhero has come under close examination in the modern age. The more well-known and upstart members of the Marvel Universe have even started taking a much more different approach to everything, especially the conflicts they always seem to find themselves in the middle of. Squirrel Girl helps to rehabilitate her enemies, and even Miss Marvel has changed. She empathizes with them. It turns out that apparently there are alternate routes to achieving success, instead of just simply pummeling people. Who would have thought? In the case of Spider-Man, the antagonists he comes up against aren't always open to negotiation. Can you imagine if Spider-Man and his enemies just kept getting into heated yet eloquent debates? Traditionally, Peter Parker would give his enemies a jolly good thrashing before stringing them up in a web for the cops to collect. Miles Morales, however, can just cut out the middleman. Thanks to his ever so slightly different origin story, Miles boasts an alternative power set, which includes a venom bite. He delivers it similarly to a Vulcan nerve punch, and it has been known to floor even big bad tough guys like Scorpion without the need of further violence.
It's been good meeting you.
Look, you may not have been able to save the other Peter Parker, but today, you saved me.
He nearly beat Galactus once. In most cases, the appearance of Galactus on Earth is cause for panic. It also means that the planet's mightiest heroes must team up and fight. They join in desperate hope that their combined powers will beat back the Eater of Worlds. For Miles Morales, that's just a regular Tuesday. Well, technically, Ultimate Cataclysm didn't specify exactly when it was set, but you catch our drift, right? Peter Parker has had cosmic adventures, including a spell as Captain Universe in the early 90s, but his adventures are mainly earthbound and street level. His encounters with Galactus have been minimal. Miles is mostly a down-to-earth kind of Spidey, pun intended, but as with anything, there are exceptions, like the time he fought Galactus. Yeah, you heard that right. During a rupture between universes, the Ultimate Galactus attacked the Ultimate Universe and was only halted in his tracks after Reed Richards and Miles Morales ventured into the regular Marvel continuity to get some intel. Ultimate Galactus had already decimated New Jersey, and technically, Miles didn't halt him single-handedly, but he got way closer to beating Galactus than Peter Parker ever did, and we think that's a win for the Miles column.
Don't worry, I'll try to be the best Peter Parker Spider-Man I can be.
You don't have to be Peter Parker to be Spider-Man. Miles Morales is just fine.
His movie looks great. No, we aren't technically referencing an upcoming film for Miles, but the upcoming Spider-Man Homecoming appears to be taking a lot from Miles' version of the character. It looks like they're taking just as much from Miles as they are the classical teenaged Peter Parker from the 60s comics. They're also including a more diverse supporting cast, and a best friend who looks suspiciously like Genki. Actor Tom Holland impressed in the title role during Captain America Civil War. The ensemble is rounded out with an impressive collection of comedic and dramatic actors. Sounds like a good balance, no? Well, there's one wild card. Director John Watts, whose resume up until this point includes direct-to-video horror film Clown and an indie darling Cop Car. Things could go either way with Watt. On the flip side, the big screen debut of Miles Morales is set to happen through Sony. The animated Miles Morales Spider-Man film is sure to be a hit, especially when it's written by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the inventive comedy geniuses behind the Lego Movie, 21 Jump Street reboot, and the new young Han Solo film. Throw in Rise of the Guardians director Peter Ramsey and Dope star Shay McMore, and you've got a hit.
Okay, I'll admit this didn't go so well. But you see that I was trying to help, right? Except your help almost got me Batroc booted.
Lasting character progression. When it comes down to all good hero stories, the hero must be put through tests and struggles. Through these trials and tribulations, they emerge on the other end much stronger, not only having achieved their goal of saving the world, getting the girl, or whatever they set their hearts to, but also have gone through some evolution and maturations. Character progression, the boys in the biz call it. One of the issues of comic books is consistency of character and lasting change in them. Comics are a serialized art form where multiple different authors will work on the same character over course of years and years, heck, even decades. But why won't they let our heroes grow? Unlike Peter Parker, who has admittedly moved on considerably since his introduction as a teenage milquetoast. Despite this, he has nonetheless fallen prey to retcons, reimaginings, and really bad story arcs up the wazoo. Miles has benefited from his core solo book being almost entirely with the Bendis, Pichelli, David Marquez creative team. Having the same team has afforded readers the opportunity to watch Miles grow and change over time. This change has happened with consistency and not without consequences which stick. It looks like all it takes is a little consistency and room to grow.
Ever wonder why supervillains always end up with a giant robot?
No, but it's always a good sign when you're going in the opposite direction of a screaming crowd.
A single visual style. Besides the consistency in character, the solid, stalwart creative team behind the Miles Morales Spider-Man books has given us more treats. The united team has also resulted in not just a consistent narrative, but also a consistent visual style. In the early days of Peter Parker, the art was one of the real strengths, even above the classic plots of Stan Lee. Steve Ditko's still unusual style was tamed a little when John Romita Sr. came on board. Despite this change, however, there was still a continuity in the look of the Amazing Spider-Man throughout the 60s, which made for a clear, definable signature. In the age of rotating creative teams and fill-in artists, that kind of consistency is a rare thing. Peter's certainly not been with such a steady pair of hands since. Perhaps John Romita Jr. followed in his father's footsteps during the 90s. Nearly all of Miles' appearances in his own series have been drawn by Sarah Pichelli and David Marquez. Each one of them bring their own bold line and cartoonish, Magna-influenced energy to the character, which is a part of why Miles looks so cool.
Stop! In the name of...
Peter Parker? Miles Morales?
What? Do we know you?
Nope.
The spiders we know don't rob banks.
He's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Peter Parker is an autodidact when it comes to both science and superhero business. He flourished in the academic settings of high school and college, but when he pulled on the webs, he was on his own. There was no professors or mentors to help him. Who could he talk to about it anyway? Many of the pleasures of early Spider-Man stories was in seeing the hero fail or success in spite of the scrabbling panic to save the day. The quirky and angsty teen was a nice contrast to the more polished and confident adult Marvel heroes. It's something that more or less has been lost as he himself has entered adulthood. Meanwhile, Miles Morales has the benefit of being a semi-self-taught rookie. He also had a spell as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, you heard that right. Miles walks the line between well-trained and still technically a child. This dichotomy makes his energy encounters all the more fraught with tension.
This isn't gonna make a lot of sense, but it's okay to be afraid. As long as
I don't let fear get in the way of doing what's right. Makes total sense.
He still has a lot to learn. Young Miles Morales is still relatively green. He's been receiving a helping hand from an Avenger here, another Spidey-adjacent hero there, but at the root of it all, he's still just a kid. Well, a kid of better than average intelligence and the proportionate strength and agility of a spider, but technically still a kid for all intents and purposes. There's still an almost infinite amount of scope for him to learn and grow. Peter Parker, comparatively, is spinning his wheels. He's done everything, beaten everyone, self-actualized several times over as a spider god. Yes, he even became the literal center of the multiverse in Spider-Verse. So what else is there for Peter to do? At this point, writers have to keep applying new gimmicks to the original Spidey to make him interesting. Although, hey, we aren't necessarily complaining. Sometimes the results have been magnificent, thanks to Dan Slott, J. Michael Straczynski, and their innumerable collaborators. It feels like arranging deck chairs on the Titanic. But with Miles, the fascination and entertainment comes naturally.
Way to take him down, punk. Invisibility, huh?
Camouflage! I just mimicked the background. It never lasts long.
Whatever. Gold star. Don't ruin it.
Feeling much love for Miles Morales? Think he's the best Ultimate Spider-Man? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to sling your web towards our subscribe button and join our CBR notification squad. Thanks for watching.